Hey everybody, this is Argonauts. This is a cooperative game based on the old Jason and the Argonauts story from mythology. This is the classic retelling of that tale in board game form, if you will. I'm a big nut for mythology. I'm more of a Norse mythology guy, but I read a lot of Greek mythology when I was younger, and I played a lot of games that had that in there, and so I really enjoy this. And of course, I've seen the movie Jason and the Argonauts. I can't imagine not having. Well, I suppose it is an older movie, and a lot of people haven't seen it. But back when I was growing up, it was like on public access TV, or it was on like TBS all the time. And I remember watching it several times as a kid. So I was excited to try out this game. It seemed like it was going to be a really fun cooperative experience, and it turned out to be just that. And pretty good solo game too. I actually played it by myself once. So. But let me tell you how to play Argonauts and show you what the game looks like, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk more about the game. Alright, cool. Let's do this. Alright, this is Argonauts, and this is a prototype, so just keep that in mind as I show you how to play the game. This is really high-level prototype, but I'm not positive this is going to look exactly like the published version. Alright, so this is your ship, the Argo, and this is the different chart. This is the path that you have to take as you travel around the Mediterranean and what have you, in search of the golden fleece that you steal or slay the dragon to grab. If you're familiar with the story, but if not, that's okay. You can still play the game and have a lot of fun with it. You have different trackers on the game board. This tracks your money, and so you'll gain money and spend it and lose it and what have you. You will gain materials that you'll be able to use to fix your ship. When your ship gets damaged, you put this marker over here, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you, if you ever reach level 4 of damage for the Argo, you automatically lose the game at that point. So don't let that happen. That is how there's always a way to lose these cooperative games, and that is one way you can lose it. It's interesting to note, as you take the damage too, you do get a minus for each level of damage. You get a minus to any seamanship or like sailor tests that you're going to make with the Argo, which stands to reason. If the ship is damaged, it's not going to maneuver as well. You have this track that has your food. Every time you move, your food goes down 1. If you ever reach 0 food, you will start losing Argonauts instead of losing food. And then if you ever get down to 0 Argonauts, you then lose the game as well. That is the other way that you lose. So the game is played relatively simple. The first thing you always do at the beginning of the turn is you move your food down 1 to represent the fact that you're having to feed your sailors and the crew of the Argo. And then you do 1 move. Now the first thing that you might maybe see here is that you're going to travel on this arrow, and you're going to follow the arrow. And the arrow, as I said, kind of goes this path. It comes back down and up, and you're trying to get back to Iolcus. Iolcus, that's the whole goal. And so you go, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I apologize. And you'll move the ship to that spot, then you encounter the spot. Now, before I go any further, I should mention that each player will get 4 heroes dealt to them randomly. There's only one thing that you can't do. You can't have both the hero Jason and the hero Hercules in the same group. But each person will have a deck of 4 heroes that they will have. And if you don't have 4 people, you will just have to have somebody else control a squad. You can't have more than 4 heroes in each of your squads. And so each person will have to make up their mind and decision when you go to a spot which one of the heroes they're going to use for their action. Now you can see, like, here is Argos, the sailor, and you can see that, these are his abilities. You can see that, he's a good seaman up here. He's got a 3, and, here in his, might, his ability to fight is a 1. And then you'll also see that he, tells you what he is. He's a sailor. And then his special ability, Argos Farther. Exhaust Argos and spend 1 material to repair Argo for 1 hull damage. Normally you can only usually repair your hull in a city, but this guy gives you the ability to do it on the fly. And you'll notice that these are the two gods. Athena likes him, and Ares doesn't. And and that will come in to play when you use this particular hero, and you end up having to roll on this the divine favor roll, and that's what the D12 is for. But we'll get more into that when we do a skill test here, and I'll probably show you how that works. So each person's going to have these 4 cards in their hand, and when they encounter an area, what they're going to do is they're going to pick somebody and they're going to exhaust them and put them in this spot. So if we, for example, used Argos like that, he would go into the exhausted spot. And then the next time I use somebody, he would move over into the resting, and I would maybe I used Nafplios here. And I used him, and notice how just take a look at his abilities. He's a sailor. He's got some divinity to him, and also some fighting ability. And you'd put him there. And then the next time, let's say I used Laertes, which he is the jack of all trades, and notice he can do everything just a little bit. You go ahead and you'd put Argos back into your hand. You'd move there and put Laertes down like that. Pretty simple, right? Pretty straightforward. So, and that's the main mechanism of the game. Trying to decide which character that you want to use in any given situation, and then seeing trying to plan ahead and maybe getting them back into your hand when you're going to need them the most. So, on a city space, cities are easy. You pull up the city location, like this is Lemnos, and then if your character is a trader, they can draw a merchant card. In a temple, you can exhaust a mystic and pay 1 gold and gain 1 favor of the gods. Hearing, exhaust a diplomat and roll the D12. Add the diplomat's diplomacy to the roll. 1 to 3, the Lord ignores your plea. He gives you a ration. And equipment. And then exploration, exhaust a scout and draw an exploration event card. And so, these are all different things that you can possibly do. Now, and so that's different, for each city. Each city is going to have, if you get to Aya, once again, draw a merchant card, temple, and, but here, the Lord is slightly different. He gives different things, and so, the exploration cards, if you get one of these, here it says recruitment, and then after you draw that, you can exhaust diplomat and roll that, and then you can get extra Argonauts if some of them had died. So those are those cards as far as the exploration cards. Merchant cards are what you probably are going to expect. You draw one, and here he tells you that you can buy a food for gold, and you can buy items for the price on the item. And so, if you look at this little item, you pull one up, and here's a sword, and it'll cost you 2 gold. But if you use the sword in combat, it'll give you +2 might. When you fight. So it's going to the shop, if you will, when you go to the merchant. And then of course there in the bottom it shows the stock. He has 2 food and 3 items, total. And so once you buy those, you can't buy any more from him. All right, so that's the location. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the red ones, because those are the legendary encounters. And so instead, what I'm gonna do is when you land, I will talk about those. But when you land on a sea space, you will draw an Argo event. And so, and then you just basically once again tells you what to do. So you rough sea, roll a D12, exhaust a sailor and add his sailor skill. You may spend a favor of the gods to skip this event. Favor of the gods is this chart here. You can have up to 3. You'll get them for accomplishing certain tasks and certain events, if you will. And so, you can see, if you roll 1 through 4, you're going to lose, you're going to take a damage, and you're going to lose an Argonaut. If you roll a 5 through 8, you lose a food and an Argonaut, and a 9 through 12, you lose 2 food. And so, if you had and then this is, it's one of the things about this game is that it isn't when you take an action, then you don't, like everybody put a card down. Not everybody has to use a card. You don't always have to use somebody in your squad. So, you'll get this, and then like only one person will like use a sailor. And so the other people, don't have to end up like using up a card, and then they don't burning through every single card that's in their hand. So. There's other things in here as well. If you have a dead calm, you have to exhaust an extra hero that you can't get. Notice how you can spend a favor of gods, because basically everybody has to row, so you have to exhaust an extra hero if you're going to use a dead calm. Here's a big thunderstorm. Once again, use a sailor to prevent damage to the Argo is like the worst thing possible. It just stinks. Now there isn't always bad things. You can get something that says fine weather, and then so that, the gods appreciate your journey, and you can get pirates, and then the pirates will, if you decide you're going to try to you can choose either one to try to fight the pirates, and like the might or the cunning. And obviously, like the D12 determines how powerful they are, and and when you roll that D12, it also ends up being the god that is the divine favor of the situation. So let's just show you a pirate. So let's say like you're gonna use might. You're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. You're gonna beat the pirates up, and so you have this as an event. So each player then can look in their hand, and they can put a card down that maybe adds some might. So let's say we play Jason, and so that's because he's got 2 might, and let's see here, we play Atalanta, and she's got 2 might, and we play Hercules, because obviously he's really powerful. He's got a 4 in might. And finally, maybe this player said, you know what, that's plenty. We don't need any more, or we're going to be okay. So those are the 3 that get played. And so we have 2, 4, 8, and maybe we bought that sword. And so we said, and we're going to use the sword too. And so we have a total of 10 might. And so now we would take the D12, and we'd roll to see how tough the pirates are. And so I rolled a 5. So good, we're fine, no big deal. And then you're going to look, and the god is Athena. And so then you would look at each person and see if Athena affects it at all. And it can be both good and good or bad. But you'll notice in the bottom, we have Hera and Zeus, Artemis and Ares, Zeus and Hera. We're fine. Athena doesn't affect anything in that situation. So, we don't have to worry about, and we've defeated the pirates by a score of 10-5. And then if we get the victory rewards, we get 2 gold and a food for defeating them. And that's how you would handle an event with pirates. Now, when you land on a space that has the picture on it, you're going to have to fight the kind of like the epic battle from the stories, and that's what these cards are for. And they show the sirens, the dragon's teeth, the skeletons, and this is the classic picture from the movie. The clashing rocks, the harpies, Pursued. Well, I'll explain Pursued in just a second. Talos, the Copper Man or Bronze, the Bronze Titan, Scylla and Carbitus, and of course the dragon. And so you look at the picture that's on there, and then you determine which of the the creatures that you're going to be fighting is it. So let's say, we got to the dragon. So we'll go over here, and we made it to the dragon. And so you have, there you go. And so the dragon, if you want to fight him, it takes a might of 10. If you want to use cunning, you have to have 5 stealth and 6 of this. I keep forgetting what this is called. I think it's diplomacy. And so you have to have like a total of 5 and a total of 6 in those two, or just 10. And so you determine which one you're going to use. And once again, you play the different heroes that have the different abilities. Like if you're going to go might, like we did the same thing again. And then you have the number. It isn't a random D12 roll. The number is 10. You will roll the D12 to determine which god. So the god is Ares. And then you would once again check each one of the heroes to make sure that there's no plus or minus that affects that particular situation. And then you just check to see if you win. If you victory, you gain 1 relic. A defeat, you lose 2 Argonauts. Now, regardless, with this one, you get the Golden Fleece. You get the relic of the Golden Fleece, and then you can start making your trek home. But that's just like, this is like in the very first third of the travel. But like if you get a relic, so you have like this. It's a map, and it gives you like, it gives you +3 to sailing. I'm trying to get that to come into focus. There you go. So +3 to sailing. And that's, and those are more powerful things. So then after you get that, you have to take this pursued card, and then you take the event deck, whatever, and then you shuffle that whole event deck, and you shuffle the pursued card back in there. So then when you turn the pursued card over, you have to deal with the pursued hunters from Colchis. You have to deal with that particular this particular event, if you will. And they're pretty tough too. 8 might and 4 sailing, or 5 diplomacy and 5 sailing. So it was divinity or whatever. I apologize. That the lamp is for the gods. So I mean, there you go. So you once again, you have to make the trek, and then you slowly make the trek all the way back, and then make it back to Teokos. And if you can do that without having all your Argonauts die or not having the ship sink, you will then win the game. It is I like the fact that like the Golden Fleece is like your goal, and just like the real story about Jason the Argonauts. I mean, it's just like he gets it relatively quickly, but then it is the long trek home that like nearly kills him, and I like that aspect of the game, and I do like the fact that it is very thematic, and it follows. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Jason the Argonauts or the story, but it does follow that very well, and it does follow the mythology. And I'm a big D&D buff. I remember reading Deities and Demigods. I remember reading old Greek mythology books and things like that. And so this, I really dig the theme, and I really like the story that it tells. So.
All right, thank you very much for watching.
So there you go. That's how you play Argonauts. Let me tell you more
well, I suppose some of you maybe didn't. So if you didn't, well, then I'll rescind that. Thank you. But regardless, that is how you play Argonauts. It is a fairly simple point-to-point movement type of game, and it is that classic, move to the spot, find out what happens to you, and figure out how you're going to deal with that. Where this game really shines for me, it is as I mentioned in the gameplay, it is the hand management of the heroes, and the fact that you have multiple uses for them. You can use them for the skills that they have. You can use them for the special abilities. You can even purposely use them in situations that maybe you shouldn't, but you're trying to match up different gods. And so you can kind of hedge your bets, if you will. You might have somebody that Hera loves but Zeus hates, so you play somebody that Zeus loves but Hera hates. And so if you roll one of those, then it's a wash, and you don't have to worry about it. It's a really interesting game because of that, and like I said in the gameplay, it is very thematic, and it does feel like I'm retelling that old story that I've read and watched the movie countless times, and so it's kind of one of those neat feelings of being able to relive part of that era of my childhood, if you will. And it is and it is just kind of neat having people like Atalanta or Hercules or whoever, and being able to in a very admittedly kind of almost a little abstract and limited way living that moment, how close you can get to living a moment of mythology, I guess, if you will. Plus it is a cooperative game in the sense that this isn't a situation where one person's telling everybody what to do. Especially when you get to cities and things like that, you have multiple options. You have those different abilities, the special abilities that each character has. The fact that because you randomly distribute them, it's kind of neat that you don't have to, if you will, like worry about, like, somebody just stacking, 4 people that work really well together or whatever, and I'm just gonna be the fighter this time. No, I mean, it's like they have different characters that, that have, different skill sets, and so if they're not careful, when something bad happens, they're not going to have a sailor or somebody that's good at negotiation in that situation. They're not going to be able to do very much, and they need to plan ahead for that. And that's kind of like the portion of the game that I really, really enjoy. And because it's a cooperative experience, like I said, not one person is not telling everybody what to do. Everybody is saying, hey, this guy, he's really good at this. I think it would be a good idea for me to use him for this. Or I want to hold on to, I see we have, that epic encounter coming up next. I really want to hold on to this person for their special ability. And then, and so you have that, you're weighing your options, and, what do we need to use it for right now, and what do we need to save? And bottom line is that with any cooperative game, I have my standard testing that I always do. And that is, it has to beat me the first time that I play it. Because I don't know anything about the game, I'm jumping in, and it should kick my butt, and this one did. I made it to, I think I nearly made it to, like, I think about halfway through, and that was the time I played it by myself, and I made it about halfway through, and I think I was like a step away from, I'm trying to remember I can't read it, it's upside down, like Athelia. I was a step away from there, and I ran into pirates, and I think that they damaged my ship, and then it sunk, and so it was just, okay, fine, and it was fun. It was kind of neat. It's like we almost made it, when I didn't almost make it, we made it halfway, and then the ship got blown out from underneath us, and so it was kind of a neat story, and going through. But then, like, the next time I played, I got a little bit further, and that was with some buddies, and we played, and I kind of explained everything that we needed to do, and kind of ideas of the direction we wanted to go, and we got a little bit further, but we lost. And then, like, the third time we played it, we just squeaked out a victory. Like, one of those classic, like, things where it's just like, yeah, 3 Argonauts and 1 food, and the ship has got 3 damage points, but we made it. We got super lucky in, like, the last turn, and we made it back to, to safety. But still, even though we squeaked out that victory, it's still a game that beats us, like, one every, like, 3 or 4 times that we play. No matter how well we play, the game is still difficult enough that it is still a challenge, and that, for all those reasons, that's why a cooperative game is good, at least for me, and this is a really, really good cooperative game. Tie in the fun mechanisms and the theme, and the fact that it is tough and it's challenging. I recommend Argonauts to anybody that's a big fan of cooperatives, and if you're a big fan of Greek mythology, then I think this is something you definitely want to check out. So that is Argonauts. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'd love to answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.